In a small town where clocks hung on every wall, there lived a man who no longer wore a watch. Not because he was careless, but because he was tired. His name was Elias. Once, Elias lived like everyone else, rushing mornings, tight schedules, checking the time more often than his own breathing. He woke up anxious, went to sleep exhausted, and in between, he was always late for something. Late for success, late for happiness, late for the life he imagined he should have. One evening, as the sun sank slowly behind the rooftops, Elias sat alone on a bench near the old river. The town clock struck 6. People hurried past him, feet fast, faces tense, eyes fixed on destinations that never seemed to satisfy. And for the first time, Elias asked himself a quiet question. What am I actually chasing? The next morning, Elias did something strange. He didn't rush. He didn't check the clock. He didn't scroll his phone. He simply sat by the window and watched the light enter the room. The world did not collapse. The sky did not fall. The town still breathed. That day, he walked instead of rushed, listened instead of replied, paused instead of pushed. And something unexpected happened. For the first time in years, he felt present, not productive, not successful, just present. A few days later, Elias wandered into a narrow street he had passed 1,000 times but never noticed. There, behind a dusty glass window, was a tiny shop. A wooden sign read, "Time repaired here." Curious, Elias stepped inside. The shop smelled of oil and old paper. Clocks ticked softly from every corner. Behind the counter sat an elderly man with kind eyes and slow hands. "You're late," the old man said gently. Elias smiled awkwardly. "I'm not sure late for what?" The watchmaker nodded. "Exactly," Elias asked. "Why do all these clocks look different?" The old man replied, "Because time feels different to everyone." He picked up a cracked watch. This belonged to a man who rushed his whole life. The glass broke from being checked too often. He lifted another. This one belonged to a woman who waited too long. It stopped on the day she decided to live, but never did. Then he looked at Elias. Most people think time is what they lack. But time is not what hurts them. "What does?" Elias asked. The old man smiled softly, living as if the present is only a hallway to a future that never arrives. Elias left the shop feeling lighter and heavier at the same time. He began noticing things he once ignored, how people spoke but didn't listen, how they rested but never felt rested, how they reached goals only to feel empty once they arrived. One afternoon, Elias met his old friend Marcus. Marcus had everything Elias once wanted: money, status, recognition. But his eyes were tired. "I don't have time," Marcus said, checking his phone mid-sentence. Elias replied calmly, "You have time, you just don't have space." Marcus laughed nervously, but the words stayed. Elias did not announce his change. He did not post about it. He did not explain himself. He simply lived slower. He ate without rushing, walked without purpose, spoke only when words mattered. At first, people questioned him. Then they mocked him. Later, they became curious. "How are you so calm?" they asked. Elias answered, "I stopped asking life to hurry." One evening, Elias returned to the river bench. The same clock struck 6, but this time the sound felt gentle. A child skipped stones on the water. An old couple sat quietly, not speaking, yet completely together. Elias realized something important. Life was not meant to be conquered. It was meant to be experienced. The happiest moments were not scheduled. They happened when nothing else was urgent. Years later, Elias returned to the watchmaker's shop. It was empty. The clocks were silent. On the counter lay a small note. "Time doesn't need fixing. People do. Thank you for learning." Beside the note was a simple watch. No numbers, no ticking sound, just a smooth face that reflected whoever looked at it. Elias smiled. He didn't take the watch. He didn't need it. Elias lived a long life, not because he added more years, but because he felt each one. And when people spoke of him, they didn't say he was rich, or famous, or fast. They said he was never in a hurry, and yet he never missed life. If you are listening to this now, take a breath. Not because you're behind, not because time is running out, but because this moment is enough. You don't need to chase life. It's already here, waiting.